Good morning, guys, or afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. And welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. A reminder, as always, that there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. Welcome, guys. I hope we're having a great start to our Thursday. We are coming in to the end of the week. And as I always say, these weeks just seem to fly right by. It is already Thursday, man. I mean, I feel like just yesterday we were doing the Monday morning show, but I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, Jackus, Dr. Will's Outlook. Tucker will be joining us shortly. And of course, we also have our guest returning, actually. Lars, welcome back. Happy to have you back on the show, guys. But before we can start cooking, sharing all of our juicy alpha, everything that we have to say about crypto, equities, and of course, we're going to let Lars cook for you as well. So make sure to smash that like button for us. We always appreciate when you guys do that, of course. And I want to say yesterday, or at least the day before yesterday, you guys did a really good job. I don't think we checked the like button yesterday because we had a bit of an interesting show yesterday, but it always means a lot to us when you guys can hit the like button. And without you guys, our channel would not have been able to grow to such a scale that it has. So I wanted to shout you guys out one last time before we get started on the show. But to get into some more individual tickers, obviously crypto, the ETH ETF went live this week. And it was kind of weird because last night in Asia session, Bitcoin and Solana just existed and ETH died. Right? Like it randomly went down multiple.
Why are you smiling when you say that? You can't help yourself. Sorry.
I can't help myself.
When you say ETH dies, you just put on a big smile.
I don't know. I have something else to say too. I think Solana has done more than just existed.
Yeah, no. I mean, Solana's been very strong. I really just kind of wanted to make a joke to start the show. With that said, I do think that the ETH sentiment is starting to get a little bit extreme to the negative side, and that's pretty ironic coming from me, who I'm pretty outspoken about my distaste for ETH. But I do think like this sentiment that we're seeing on ETH in the wake of the ETF, from a time standpoint, it really does feel as though people are truly capitulating on the idea that Ethereum can really compete with Bitcoin this cycle, or at this point compete with Solana this cycle, because let's be honest, there's two different value propositions that these assets are kind of competing with right now. It's a store of value, of course, and then you have that layer one transactional feature of blockchains, where Solana is just kind of kicking ETH's butt. And I think a lot of that is because obviously, a lot of this cycle has been met with skepticism and a lack of liquidity. So many of the on-chain opportunities that we're seeing, oh man,
toasted, bro, toasted in the.
Well, I hope I look like Vitalik everywhere. Let me just say that.
If you understand that joke, but those that got it, top tier. Great rebuttal, Tommy.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's just like ETH is competing with Solana for the degen retail casino, and that's just going to be difficult because Solana is literally perfectly catered to it. So ETH's got to carve out its own niche. This is something we were talking about in our Discord last night. But I with that said, I do think that sentiment's getting pretty extreme on ETH, to the point where I'm thinking that the next probably 48 to 72 hours are going to be some really great buys on Ethereum potentially.
So Tommy will be a buyer.
We'll
Got it.
We'll see. But moving over to equity markets, obviously that's kind of been the source of the crypto downside this week. We've seen a lot of relative strength from crypto, famous last words. We have said that before, but equities are showing a lot of weakness so far this week. Does that continue? I'm sure that's going to be something that we debate later on this show, but that's enough yapping for me. I'm ready to open up the mic. Let's talk equities. Let's talk crypto, guys. Let's talk ETH, and not just explicitly fudding. What are we seeing in the markets?
Tommy, first of all, I don't think you look like Vitalik. Guys, if you haven't seen Tommy in person, he's like 6'2" and he's jacked. I think when he talks bad about ETH, he's suddenly like, it's like this weird like aura that it's like a cloud that like morphs his face into looking like Vitalik, as sort of like it's like the crypto gods version of like playing a prank on him. But Tommy is a certified Giga Chad, man. Strongest forearms in the game, man. He'll tell you that. Like his forearm, he could like forearm curl a semi truck if he had to. You know, he really could. I mean, yeah, like
I feel like we need
the comment was
Max.
harsh. I had to. I mean, that's like the ultimate like slap in the face to say that to somebody low key. But Tommy deserves it because he's been such an ETH fudder that like there's nothing I won't do to get back at Tommy for what he's done. You know, so it is what it is. You FUD ETH, you get shit on a little bit, even if you're right. It doesn't matter. Yeah, what up, Big Haggard? But we are joined by Lars today, guys. I want to see if we can send Lars over 2K on Twitter today, man. He's probably a couple hundred away, so we'll let the show ramp up. If you don't follow him yet, man, you're gonna see at some point in this show why he deserves your follow and your support on Twitter. So if at any point during the show you're like, that chart was good, that was awesome, I learned something, I'm gonna follow him. I made it easy for you. He's the first Twitter link in the description below. But he cooked for us last time. It's very rare that somebody gets an invite back on Market Check this quickly. I don't know if have we even had a guest on twice? I don't even think we have.
Me, I've been on here twice.
Will, besides Will, who has been here more than twice. Tucker's been here a few times, but I don't think we've had a guest on, honestly, more than twice. But you guys really took a liking to Lars last time, man. He knocked it out of the park. As the Europeans would say, maybe he scored a goal in football or something. It's a fake sport. I don't really even understand what's happening in it. But, you know, I know he's European, so we'll play along. That's fine. Jackus, you came off mute. Were you going to say something?
You are on a thin ice.
I'm just gonna tell you how much he loves football.
So Jackus, I don't know what the deal is with this profile picture, man, but he's got this new like internet persona of this. I don't know what it is, man, but it's like a horse in like a gas station, like or a convenience store, like yakking or something. It's foul. It's really disgusting, but maybe that's
so random. Like someone posted that in our Discord, and it just made everyone laugh. So
yeah,
put it on.
It catches you off guard, but I mean, honestly, like I feel like I could go into my thoughts on the market and I can share that, but we got a guest on today. I'd rather get his charts up, let him cook a little bit, and then we'll put him in the hot seat and we'll grill him about his opinions on the market. So Lars, let's do it. We got your chart up. Thanks for joining us again. Let me see if I can get your chart perfect there. There we go. Would love for you to just kind of cook a little bit. And just for those that maybe didn't catch the last episode with you on here, maybe you could say maybe just a quick, like real quick intro on yourself. And then let's just dive right into your charts, what you're seeing in the markets.
Okay, let's get it. What is up, Chad? The team of BB, thank you for inviting me back on. It's an honor. I'm a day trader in my 20s, and yeah, I make most of my money just day trading the crypto markets, but also forex and commodities. And then I have applied the same concepts to the crypto markets, and I know a thing or two about crypto cycles as well. So that's me. And for the people that missed the previous stream where I was on, I was basically saying, to summarize it, especially about Bitcoin, to summarize Bitcoin, I was talking about we're in a range, we're deviating the low, we're not deviating the high, signs of accumulation, and we can expect higher prices. I'm 100% convinced that this range that we're currently in is going to break up, okay? So...
Did you say 100%? Did I hear that correct?
I'm 100% convinced that this range is going to break up.
100.1%.
Wow.
Okay, like 100%.
Will loves to hear that. But like I said, so we've got some people on the show right now, some guys on the team that weren't here last time that might not necessarily agree with you. And I want you to cook for them. And then I want our two local bears, not high time frame. I want our two local bears to grill you a little bit on this, because it's easy for me to be like, oh, Lars, I totally agree. Like, let's be bullish together. That's fun and all, but I want to give the people a show today. You're a special guest on the show, and you came in aggressive. You just said, and I quote, "I'm 100% confident that this range is going to break to the upside." That's a bold claim, my friend. So we do have 2 local bears on the team, and I would request when you're done cooking to our local bears, I want you to put Lars in the hot seat. I want you to grill him, test this man's conviction. But Lars, let's cook, man. You came in hot. I want you to follow it up with some concrete evidence and a game plan. All right, let's do it.
Okay, so last stream, we were going up right here. It was on Monday. That's right in this area. And I was talking about how this market structure high right here, that was the most important high to break. I was talking about this Model 1 reaccumulation Wyckoff schematic. And I said, whenever we break this high right here, where you can see the line with the breakup structure, I said, if we break that high, this Wyckoff is confirmed. And for me, when I have a Wyckoff, the opposite range extreme point is the technical target. So we're reaccumulating that range high, the opposite extreme point, that is the target. And what I found so fascinating is the moment we broke that high right here on the daily, I saw a few people also talking about, hey, I'm still not fully convinced about this break yet when we were up here. But what did it for me is that the moment that we broke this high right here and we got that daily candle close above, the second day, the day after, we got that back test of the volume area low and we closed higher. So we had some supply right here. I had 2 supply zones. One was right here. And I said, just because, we closed the day above that market structure high, we got that back test of the volume area low. Yes, we can have a short-term retracement off the supply zone, but it isn't going to be a fake break. If it's going to be a fake break, it just means that you're going to go up and then the candle afterwards, you immediately go down. And just because it's a timing difference of the candle closes, that's why it's a break. And the second day, it immediately closes below. When you have that, that's when you can maybe call it a fake break under the right circumstances. But because we had that day in between where we got the back test, closed higher, and then we got the rejection of supply, I was expecting a higher low right here. And we got the higher low for the higher high. Now, from my expertise regarding Wyckoff Model 1s, they tend to be very aggressive. Okay, they tend to be very aggressive. And what followed using daily market structure right here, we have lower highs and lower lows. And then right here, we have that break. This is the highest point. This is where we had the 2 candles down for the retrace and we had a higher high. So this right here is currently our market structure low on the daily time frame. And it's kind of backed by that volume area low, which is, it's perfect. If you respect this level right here, it just means that you got that nice acceptance back inside for that rotation higher. But what I know and what I tend to see is once we have a V-shaped recovery, so this third tab right here, I call this a V-shaped recovery once breaking structure because it looks like a V. It's a sell to buy, okay? And whenever we have that Model 1 that has like a clean V-shaped recovery, breaking structure, and then backtesting volume area low, it likes to respect the market structure from the low up, which is the market structure between this low and that high, which is just this daily pool. So whenever I see a Wyckoff Model 1 where your third tab has that V-shaped recovery, I'm looking for longs in exactly this area right here, only with confirmations, but I do expect and I would like a bounce right here. Because if we zoom in, this is our extreme demand point, okay? We have this pullback right here before pumping higher, leaving demand behind. This is our important market structure low that we preferably do not want to break. And it's a crucial area right here for a potential long for the higher low and the higher high, continuing that market structure drawing. And it's pretty funny when I say that. And then the moment when New York opens, you get right here, the moment New York opens, exactly on that point right here, you have your range. And then New York opens, you take out the range low and you break up higher. Like that's a typical New York move for all the scalpers as well. So in my opinion, this is a very crucial point, and we have broken outside of this range. However, the most important high to break is your highest time frame structure from the top down. So here we got lower highs and lower lows. So this high right here, whenever you break this high, which is the market structure from the top down, that will confirm that you could potentially continue with this daily drawing, right? Whenever you break that high right here, you could continue with that daily drawing. But overall, it's not that strange to see a pullback here, because if we go on the weekly time frame, it was kind of the last big resistance zone before the range high, right? We had a very aggressive expansion towards the upside after manipulating below the range low. We got this weekly order block right here. So what can you expect after a very aggressive move towards the upside? Breaking structure is a local retracement. It's, in my opinion, nothing to really worry about and nothing to start calling for 53K again. And applying a bit more Wyckoff concepts towards this, price can easily still come back down towards this demand right here and just create like a bigger rounding up bottom where this is just a higher low. It's also valid. I just tend to notice that when you have that V-shaped recovery, it likes to respect that market structure drawing from the low up, but it can come down to here and still be bullish. I'm just very convinced that we're not going to visit that low again. And the reason why I like this idea less is because you got a lot of bears or even bulls who were too afraid to buy during this manipulation phase right here that turned bullish now, but they're talking about, okay, I will enter long on a big retrace. You know, on the retrace, okay, they were scared down here. You pump higher, you break structure. Now they're talking about, okay. It's showing a lot of strength. I'll buy on the retrace, and then you don't get that good retrace, right? It's a very typical scenario on all time frames where they are afraid when we're at the range lows, and then you break higher, and that's when they want to buy on the retrace, and then they don't get the retrace, and you go towards the high, and then they FOMO in because it's never going back down, and then you get the retrace, right? So that's my local or more my macro Bitcoin views right now about. I'm pretty convinced this is the low of this range, and then I would like a bounce right here, respecting that market structure from the low up, because that tends to happen when you have that V-shaped recovery. But if we do come down here to this demand, we can easily just wait for another structure break back to bullish, and this will just be a higher low on this bigger accumulation schematic, and I'll still target the range highs.
Man, Lars, you cooked. You absolutely cooked, man. You left everybody full after a delicious meal. One thing that I've been, I came into our Discord this morning. I was talking with the guys, and there's a lot of panic this morning. And you identified that New York session open manipulation, which is not uncommon to see. Right as the open hits, we see a local manipulation down that serves as sort of a liquidity grab or a bear trap, and it also works the other way, right? Like we've seen that to the upside where New York session opens or Asia opens and you see a manipulation to the top side, and then it jeets down. But it's nice to have this local perspective here, especially coming sort of as a bit of confluence with that higher time frame demand, the green box to the left that you had marked out. But one thing I was saying this morning kind of aggressively is I was like, guys, if you zoom out and you look at the range, we went up to what, 67K, which is 13,000 points higher than the low that we set earlier this month in July. We were down at 54K in July, and now we're at 64K, now just under 65K. Is it truly your expectation that when we deviate a range low and jump back into the range, that you go straight up and 3x in price without a single pullback? You need to come back and set a higher time frame, daily time frame, higher low. And I feel like that's exactly what we're doing right now, which is why this pullback this morning didn't scare me. But anyways, I said I didn't want to just come in here and be like bullish with you. Like I agree with you and we can talk about why, because I see it very similarly. Like we look at different things, but more or less like the same from a structural perspective. I would love Tommy or Jackus to fire at you right now, because you said some things that I would agree with that are somewhat compelling. But me and Tommy and Jackus and Tucker and Will, we debate every single day publicly. I want to see if you can take the heat from a couple of guys that I would consider to be some of the best traders that I know, that I don't think locally agree with everything you've said. So maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe you've been convinced, you guys, but guys, fire at Lars with everything you have. Tell him why he's wrong. Please tell him why he's wrong.
Max, are you reading the comments?
I know I saw Dinesh drop a couple sus comments, but we love Dinesh, so it's fine. But, oh dear God. Okay, Dinesh, you need to write that down in a private journal and not put that in comments, man.
Private journal.
Yeah, Dinesh, you are on the brink of being sus, my man. You are right there.
Since we were interrupted by Dinesh, he wants me to go ahead and grill you. So great job, Lars. Let's go ahead and end the stream.
All right. Tommy or Jackus, let's go.
I'll let Jackus go first, because a lot of my like opposition or my contention hasn't really been based on technicals or market structure, because I agree with a lot of the arguments presented from that standpoint. A lot of it is always, for me, been mostly centered around supply overhang for both majors, and I think you're seeing that especially for ETH right now. That it's that whole meme, heaviest objects in the universe. You have like a star, a planet, black hole, and then you have ETH, which is just off the screen. But I do think to a certain extent you are seeing some of that DeFi overhang on ETH specifically, probably weigh down the market in its entirety. Not Solana, obviously, because there's just not really going to be tail risk for Solana on ETH DeFi. But my whole thing has always been more so based on kind of like flow reasons. Spot CVD has been hammering the range. I think you have supply overhang present in a myriad of different forms. Obviously, kind of where we rejected from was where I was looking at. That red box you've got highlighted, Lars. I know I can tell you trade with volume profiles as well. There was just so much delta that came in the second time we tried to break through on the range from longs that I don't think have fully puked. So I just have kind of been skeptical about our ability to chew through supply versus demand. And I think people are kind of seeing that some of these ETF flows aren't necessarily what they're advertised to be, right? We have 1 billion in flows on Bitcoin on back-to-back days. Why can't we go higher? Clearly something is not being advertised to us in the way that it's actually manifesting. I think part of that is probably that you're probably seeing a lot of these ETFs and funds that are buying Bitcoin do it through market makers rather than the open spot market. And that's probably why you're not really seeing much of an impact on price. And until those market makers don't have any more Bitcoin, I think that's probably going to remain the case. And it'll just be, I think it'll just take time for us to absorb that supply.
Yeah, I'm a big TA guy, right? If we're gonna argue fundamentals, for sure way more than me. It's really just that I see the accumulation schematic, I see the break, and obviously it's summer, right? So indeed, maybe you're like, why can we not break supply yet immediately? Well, we did get an aggressive expansion towards the upside, and it is summer, Normally summers are always way more calm. So we could see this aggressive expansion right here, and we can see that local cool off and maybe a bit more chop inside of the range until that, summer ends and we get that September, October area where the continuation and the follow through really appears. I just know that it's an aggressive expansion. We can see a local cool off. Even if we look at volume just on the Bybit inverse perpetual chart, you can see that right here, the moment we're at this candle and we're coming into that potential break of structure, you can see an increase, each volume spike going higher than the previous one, right? That's what you want to see for a convincing break of structure. So we're seeing an increase in volume on that move up that broke structure. And then we see that local volume decrease right here. This thing is kind of in the way, but then we see this local volume decrease. You have this high, and then like a lower one in the middle. So you could see that volume was kind of decreasing coming into that supply. So obviously as volume is decreasing, it will probably not have strength to immediately break that supply zone on the same expansion. But right now, if I'm on the daily time frame and I'm looking at the volume, this day is not confirmed yet, but it has a slight retrace. And that's kind of what you want to see. You want to have a volume increase, aggressively breaking structure, and then you want to have a slight retrace that takes more time, has a decreasing in volume until it picks back up again. And now when you go above this high, that supply zone isn't there anymore. It's mitigated. I don't like to use mitigated supply zones. So once we break above that high, the supply isn't there. So I think it will be easier to pass through it.
So translation up only forever. Got it.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
So
But
it seems like you like to attach multiple scenarios, which is, of course, what most successful traders do, right? Like you said, I'm very confident that this range does resolve to the upside eventually. But you also outlined a couple scenarios. One, this could be a local bottom, because we did recover off of that deviation of the range, in early July. But you're also entertaining a scenario of retesting deeper demand, right? Like 60K, 59K, something like that. What type of probability do you attach at this point to, taking out that deviation low and actually getting back down into the 50s again, right down there? Yeah. Are you entertaining something like that? Or at this point, is that not on the table for you?
I made a post about it. I think it was yesterday. And I made a post regarding if it happens, there is still a valid way to be bullish, even using accumulation schematics. It's just something that I've never seen. So using the same rules, it is valid. It's just that I'm really looking at it from a sentiment perspective, right? Yes, we can come down there and it can still be bullish. You can still have a higher low on macro time frame. It's just that we had so much bearish sentiment inside of this manipulation phase. You had Germany selling all their Bitcoin positions, and you had my sentiment on X was
at the low.
I saw
Mount Gox was weighing on that as well.
Mine
at the low though, Max.
Germany selling their positions, people calling for triple tops, 36K targets, 12K. I've seen the 16K target literally. And I'm like, all that hard work from a bearish sentiment perspective in a range that's already 113 days. And then you get that aggressive expansion breaking structure. Why come back down there? Because normally when you come back down, there is bearish sentiment, on that move here. I think it was like a war, like Israel war or something like that. And also somewhere in here, you had like the USDT collapse of like they were banned in Europe or something, or there was a problem with USDT. So normally you have bearish sentiment coming into the lows, and we had so much bearish sentiment coming into this low, and we got that V-shaped recovery. Like what sentiment are we going to get now coming lower again? I'm not convinced that we're going past this point. Like if I had to give a probability, like you asked, I would say like 95-5 of not going to that low.
Honestly, that was my thought process too, Lars, is that, if people are saying this is a shakeout, the shakeout has occurred, right? And if people are saying that this is a bear market, then it's a bear market. You have to come to one of those theses. You either have to come to say this is a shakeout, which has already occurred, or you have to come to say that we're going back into a bear market. There's no in between those two. There's no middle ground. You're either one or the other. In my perspective, this was a shakeout. It's not a bear market, and because it's a shakeout, you've already gotten your move. You've gotten the meat of your move. I don't think you get a double shakeout or a triple shakeout or any of that shit. I think relatively, and I posted on this 6 days ago, and this was at 66K. And I said 62 to 58K is your max pain zone. I was like, you're not going lower than that range. You're going to stay relatively within that range.
So Tommy, I know that a large part of your local bearish thesis is somewhat dependent on what Nvidia is doing, right? Maybe it would make sense, Lars, would you want to take a look at the Nvidia chart? Tommy, you could briefly kind of summarize why you think that might cause an unwinding in global markets, at least short term. And we could kind of debate what that structure might entail currently.
Max, you saw the candle before you asked that question, didn't you?
Hey, man, shooter's gonna shoot, and I don't play a game. I don't think I can win. All right, it is what it is.
This is a complacency bounce on a lower time frame, in my opinion, with Nvidia. That's just my opinion, but I had to say that. No, I mean, look, at the crux of it, you have everybody kind of, the way equities work is it's very much, if a trade is working, everybody is going to pile into it, and they're going to keep piling into it until it stops working. It's not really that different than crypto, right? Like Solana is a great example. Solana is the bell cow. So all that liquidity is going to start funneling in from failed L1s. It's going to start funneling in. If you want better returns than Bitcoin, it's going to start funneling in. If you've given up on ETH, and eventually the Solana trade at points throughout this cycle has gotten crowded enough where you've seen obviously like 30 or 40% pullbacks. It's no different than what we're seeing with Nvidia right now, where obviously, the AI trade, the Nvidia trade was it was probably the best trade of the last 2 years. It's kind of hard to debate otherwise, at least if you're kind of exclusively in TradFi. And yeah, no, and so part of that, what you're seeing as part of that, yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but anyway, tethered to the long Nvidia trade is the short volatility trade, right? And that's a trade that everyone has also piled in equity land, and they unwind together. So if you think Nvidia is bottomed here, then short volatility, and if you don't think Nvidia is bottomed, then it makes sense that uncertainty is likely to persist in global markets. And I don't think that Nvidia has bottomed here. So
all short volatility. Don't even try and go there. All
short volatility, and I think
we discussed where it's going.
Out, man. I really do. I think bull shorters are in for a really rough time over the next few sessions. But we
discussed where vol's going. It's going in the 8s and 9s. That's where it's going.
Eventually, but not from here. Not from here. Nvidia broke parabola at double tops. I don't think it's the same as previous consolidations. It's gone straight up in a straight line. It's fighting gravity now. I think what you saw this morning is more than likely a bounce from shorts closing at an obvious place of liquidity.
Do you guys know how to get rid of these vertical lines?
Real quick, Tommy, did you close your short this morning? Is that why you're thinking that this is what's happening, or are you still just kind of diamond handing that position?
No, I mean, I'm still diamond handing. We basically shorted the Pico top of Nvidia on that complacency shoulder, so I'm not really stressing it. Right. But I do think that it's got a good bit further to come down. I do, and I know that's not a popular opinion, and it's probably a hot take to say that volatility will do anything but go straight down in these current market conditions. But I think that's exactly what's. I really think that you're probably about to see Nvidia start sliding to a more substantial degree, and it's going to be very difficult for volatility to top if that's the case.
Tommy,
real quick. What's your target there? What's your target for Nvidia, Tommy?
I mean, I was looking for at least that gap fill down near 95 to 100, but I think it can go lower. Honestly, we'll see what. I mean, that's where kind of the reflexivity of volatility with the Nvidia trade paired together. Theoretically, they're going to exacerbate the extreme ends of the trade, and that's always been my thesis.
Lars, sorry, I was laughing because there was some guy in the comments saying how to remove the vertical lines using the good old Alt F4. But if you go right click on the chart, there in the symbol settings, sorry, go on settings. Yeah, and it's on symbol at the pre and post market hours. You just set it to zero opacity.
Perfect. Okay, that was stressing me out. Thank you.
I know.
Tommy, can I get the screen for a second?
I know you're going to show VIX rejecting off the trend line, and
hang on. We got to let Lars just address the chart out. Will, can you
do it if you really want to?
Okay, let's let Lars cook on this a little bit because he just marked up this whole chart. So, all right, what do you see in there?
In my opinion, Nvidia has a very, very simple chart to trade. Like, this is an uptrend, that's for sure, and this is your weekly market structure low. So not breaking this is key. You have got very strong demand backing up that weekly low, And zooming in, we got to retrace. We kind of formed a range here. This being your range, right? And what we see right now is that, you broke down from the range. We had the only good-looking demand, local good-looking demand underneath that range is right here. And it's also right below that liquidity point right here. So you took that low, you bounced off demand, also tapping into that red line right here, which is kind of my deviation tool for ranges. And you got a very aggressive expansion away from it. So it can have struggles coming back inside the range. I cannot decide yet if it's going to have that. But even if it breaks down from this range, you can come to this area, because I do think if you close below this low, that demand isn't there anymore. It's mitigated. And this right here is just inefficiency, right? So if it fails to come back inside the range in this area, and we do have that rotation towards that low, I think we can come lower, filling this inefficiency right here, tapping into that demand. And then from there, potentially range, form an accumulation for the next leg higher, because we're in an overall very strong uptrend.
That's a brutal drop, though. You know what I mean? Especially from the top, right? Like, what is that? 92. That's take it down to like where the big green box, though. Like, what is that?
Yeah, 31%. Yeah,
that's a monster.
That's tough. I will say the S&P is bouncing exactly where you'd want it to today, by the way.
Yeah.
IWM up 2% as well. Yeah. VIX down a little bit. So you're starting to see the mechanics and the beginning of a potential drop. And hopefully it's not just a short covering bounce like Tommy is suggesting it might be. But I mean, you are seeing what you need to see, right? And I do like that little bottom that Nvidia, at least locally, put in, right? I guess it's still got some work to do, right? It probably needs to get above like 118, 119 to really start, a recovery, if that's what it's going to do. But I mean, locally, this range, I see it the exact same way that Lars has it. Like, you tapped into demand, you deviated the range low. I wouldn't say you've reclaimed this range low yet.
No,
I would say as a bit of confluence with Nvidia catching a bounce here, it's coming at the same time that the VIX rejected from that diagonal downtrend line that we've been watching for a while now, which is I would say important to a degree. So unless you get a VIX blowout and basically break of 2-year downtrend, then Nvidia should in theory be bottomed here.
I mean, we should bounce into the end of the week across the board on equities, in my opinion.
I don't know why we're even looking for a VIX blowout. Like, there's no confirmation that could even happen. It's just assuming it's going to happen.
I mean, it's tied to positioning around Nvidia, though. That's kind of what I've been saying. Like,
but VIX is not Nvidia. VIX is based off the S&P.
But there's correlations there in place, and at TradFi, correlations are very often self-reinforcing. So like, you have people who go long Nvidia, they're almost surely doing the exact same thing by shorting volatility at the same time. These trades become entrenched and self-reinforcing, and that's why Nvidia is able to go parabolic. VIX is able to stay crushed at historically low levels for a very long period of time. But then when they unwind, it exacerbates the decline of both.
So I guess in my perspective, unless you're expecting us to go into a bear market, I wouldn't expect any type of VIX blowout, because the only times you get a VIX blowout is when a bear market starts to occur.
But well, that's not true. Will, you could get
I have a full chart right here showing it.
That's not true, though. You could get, and there are a lot of instances to point and suggest that you could get a big mid-cycle correction, like a 15% drop on U.S. indexes with a VIX spike, not a VIX blowout, not like a VIX to 50, right? But you could get a big mid-cycle correction that ultimately recovers really aggressively.
Back to 20s?
What's that?
You think we're going back to 20s on VIX?
I don't. Okay. I don't. I feel like it should be topped here, but there are instances that we could point to that have been like, big mid-cycle corrections. I mean, for example, like what about June, July, August, September, like we're going up. we start dropping in like April, May, June 2015, and then ripped up from there, right? Like that's a prime example of like a big mid-cycle correction where the VIX did spike and kind of broke its structure to the upside, but it wasn't the end of like a cyclical trend. I'll give you the date on that. Like the drop that we had in July of 2015, I would say was a giant mid-cycle correction.
That was the Greek debt default, I believe.
Yeah, so that was a mid-cycle correction where you didn't have like a VIX blowout, right? But you had like a very aggressive mid-cycle correction that ultimately resolved to the upside. But you could see something like that. It pains me to do it, but to back up Tommy's thesis, like if he's correct on positioning, like that's a perfect example, something like that.
So market topped in 2017, right? On crypto. VIX bottomed. Market topped in 2021. VIX bottomed. I can go through this time and time again. In both cycles.
You're saying we're going to top in 25 and VIX will bottom?
VIX will bottom.
Yeah.
Where's the VIX bottoming, Will? How do you know it's bottomed?
Well, one.
How do you know it's not already bottomed, Will?
2017, when it bottomed, it was at the bottom. It was at the
but
9
how do you
range.
know it's not already bottomed, Will?
What, VIX?
Yeah.
Because we haven't met trend. We're too close to trend not to meet it. If you, pass me the screen. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, Will. Screen's yours. Let's see.
Bottom, trend. We're trending this direction.
I see what you're saying.
So I'm expecting us to stay relatively muted, right? Until, and we might
What's
get
your
a spike
ceiling
somewhere
at?
in
What's
here.
your ceiling at on that though?
My ceiling right now is the mid range.
But
why not? Why not the range high on that though?
Because we haven't broken it.
What is the range high on that?
Yeah, you have to break the mid range to meet the range high. If you're gonna range high, you're gonna hit almost 30.
That sounds like what Tommy's looking for.
Almost 30. And if you're gonna hit 30, SPY's breaking 5K. Which I think is absolutely not gonna happen. I can give you a thesis on why I don't think it's gonna happen. Because again, this is what I think everybody's looking for. Everybody's looking for this.
What is a candlestick?
Right here.
What is a candlestick?
And if you look at these two ranges, this is a 30% drop. That's what everybody's betting on right now. This is what all the bears are betting on. They're betting on this playing out again. That's why they're like, oh, drop, bounce. And they got a drop here, so they're looking for this thing to continue to just bounce ball, stair step down to the downside. And if you look at
some of these comments today are just, I'm not putting that on the screen, but there's an outrageous comment that just went into the chat, man.
I see it.
I can't put that on the screen, but outrageous. Oh my God.
But here's the thing though. You should always look for percentage, right? You shouldn't be looking for replications or reproductions of the same move. You should look for percentage because percentages tend to match more often than anything, right? So let's follow. Let's go with the 10% thesis. You're still above 5K Bitcoin, or not 5K Bitcoin, 5K SPY.
I hope so.
Right?
5K SPY.
Better be. Here's the point. Here's the point. Everybody's looking for a replication of this. This is what bears are betting on. This is what bears are betting on. They're betting on this right here.
And you don't think they're getting it?
I don't think they're getting it.
Oh, I'm betting on something else, but
what are you betting on, Tommy?
I mean, I kind of identified some structural similarities with the way that equities and the VIX were trading pre-Volmageddon in 2018. That's kind of been like my anchor point for the past week, is that we're basically there. And that was a mid-cycle correction, right?
What was the date on Volmageddon? Will, can you scroll over to that? What was the date on it? January 2018. Well, let's take a look at January 2018 just for a brief moment. What is a candlestick?
Like that?
January of 2018, Will.
Jan 18 right here. Bruv.
What percentage pullback was that, Will?
I think it was like 15%.
Oh, that's not too bad. 11?
11?
In practically a few days.
We're basically there.
5K. That's 5K SPX right now. Would be 11 from the top, basically.
That's what I'm saying.
bad.
Yeah, I'm saying 5K.
I'll give that to Tommy any day. Tommy, take that. That's fine. I'll happily give you your Volmageddon then.
That's what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm not looking for like the end of days, guys. I think positioning has gotten a little bit over exuberant ahead of 3 or 4 year thematics that are perfectly justified in being bullish.
Well, if you think that happens, what do you think happens to crypto? Because that was where we were thinking you were looking for the end of days, was because of some of the targets that we can't ever make public. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly where that leaves crypto. I think it'd be worse for ETH than Bitcoin, because if you have any like sudden shock to the system, obviously we know how fragile DeFi is. But no, I mean, I do view it more as like a mid-cycle correction for crypto as well, unless you just have some sort of like devastating developments that I don't really expect to form at this point.
So there actually is a very devastating development that has just happened. I don't know if anybody saw this, but Tucker, I'm going to need you to pull up a chart for me. Because there's a devastating development that's taking place right now live on the show. It's devastating, guys. I don't know if we'll come back from this one. It's devastating.
This is where I shine, guys. This is where
guys, Tucker's going to pull up his screen here. What we're about to show you is very unsettling. Please, if you have children nearby, please remove them from anywhere where they could catch a glimpse of the screen, because right now we are looking at cotton candy futures on the 10-second time frame. Okay. Now, why are we looking at cotton candy futures on the 10-second time frame? Guys, the devastating situation that's unfolding is that the likes are in capitulation on this stream right now. Guys, this is an absolute cook session today. Do you think I enjoy having Tucker do TA on cotton candy futures on the 10-second time frame using Heikin-Ashi candles? This pains me. This pains me to do this. But guys, if we are going to continue to grow, we need your support. It's not enough that you just show up every single day. We love that. But unfortunately, the mega cap tech overlords, they've dictated that it is pertinent and is paramount to our growth and our success as a channel that you guys actually show up and like the stream. I always say this because I mean it. I dream to live in a world where we don't need to get likes on videos and our content will be boosted because it's good content. But that's not the world that we live in. Guys, if you are enjoying the content, if you are having a good time, do me a solid, consider liking the stream and also subscribing to the channel if you are new here. Now, one more thing. If you have enjoyed the cooking from our man, Lars, his X account is the first X account link in the description below. If you think Lars is a Giga Chad, if you've enjoyed, if you've learned from Lars, if you want him back on the show, go and follow his X account. You must do that. It's in the description below. And if you're watching on Twitter, there's a couple thousand of you on Twitter. Just you'll find Lars. All right. I actually retweeted him this morning. Go to my account and you'll see it. It's like 3 tweets ago. All right. You go there, you follow Lars, your life gets better. It's really that simple. You like the BB stream. It helps boost the channel. You subscribe to the BB YouTube. We grow as a company. And then you go to the description of the video and you follow our guest Lars and you become a better trader. Guys, I don't know how much clearer I can be. You have the recipe for everybody winning here. All you have to do is just go and do it. You win, we win, everybody wins. And you just have to like something. It costs you $0 to like it. All right. We're going to go back here. Lars, what do you got up here, man?
Wait, Max, I just wanted to highlight this comment. I feel like it's so relatable.
Everybody's been burned by Ethereum at least once. Everybody that's been trading has been burned by Ethereum. It's a guarantee. If you haven't been burned by Ethereum, like tell me you're a noob or a normie without telling me you're a normie. Like you just say I haven't been burned by Ethereum. Like that's how I know. Lars, what are we looking at here, man? Little gold action.
Yeah, my PC is very laggy. Like I talked to you. I also posted about it. This loading up on me. So I want to talk about gold real quick and the correlation I'm seeing with Bitcoin, and then I have to restart real quick and I'll join again. It just needs to reset because
No problem.
it's heating up like crazy. So looking at gold, I trade gold on a daily basis, and I'm seeing this macro distribution schematic, right? And it's an actual macro distribution schematic that could see some follow through towards the downside, at least towards this range low. I'm also short on it, so I made the correlation in my mind, and I'm like, hey, gold is showing a very clean looking, pretty macro
Just a heads up,
distribution, at
Lars,
least on the daily time frame,
you are
while
starting to
Bitcoin is
lag a
showing
little bit
a
here.
daily accumulation.
Shoot. Starting to lag a little bit. He
You
gave
guys
us
just
the
take
warning.
over. I'm gonna restart my PC.
Yeah, give it back to Will.
All right, it's going back to Will then. It's going back to Will then. Lars, we'll see you in a minute.
Will's like, I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now.
Now you guys are in trouble. Until Lars gets back, now you got Will.
All right. So this is what I think a lot of bears are kind of thinking about here, right? They're like, okay, what's the market potential here? Let's say bears are right. Let's entertain that bears are right. What's your downside potential here? All right. This is entertaining. From here, if you can go back to the lows, which is all you should expect, it's a 14% drop on Bitcoin. Literally drop in the bucket, nothing, right? If they're right here. And here's what I think a lot of bears are looking for is, again, this same area, this same area, this same area of what they're looking at, what they're expecting, right? And then if they're expecting that, they should expect this to play out somewhere over here. They're expecting some kind of like massive puke here on Bitcoin. That's their expectation.
Zoom in a little bit, Will, so we can see that better.
Sorry, I zoomed it out. So
well, I just mean we don't need to see all the bear market. Like if you just show, just because it's so small. There you go, and then put the one above it. Do the same thing, just so we can see.
So if we're looking at like similar areas, can't really. Maybe I can. Yeah, we'll do it kind of like that. We'll say similar areas. This matches, and these lines are right on point with each other. So maybe a little bit off. That one's a little bit off. So it looks like it was kind of over right here. So this was kind of like the bottom of SPY, and this is where Bitcoin was when SPY was at the bottom. Imagine selling because equities are selling.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have seen that. It's not even like a divergence. It's like a lead and a lag more so. I hate saying it's like diverging or decoupling. It's so diluted when people say that. Whenever there's like a green day versus a red day between crypto and equities, people love to scream decoupling, and it's just ridiculous. But we have seen this lead and this lag all cycle so far, Will. It's a really important observation.
So on this side, you have Bitcoin going this direction, and on this side, you have SPY going this direction. So even if you were macro bear SPY, if we're looking at this as being the thesis on why we're looking for further downside, and keep in mind, this is the same time frame, by the way, too. This isn't just a coincidence on price. This right here is July, August, September, October, right? We saw downside on equities. Again, July, August, September, October on 2024. It's the same exact time period. If we're expecting the same thing to play out again, which I think is where a lot of bears are coming up with their thesis, they're looking at last year and expecting to replicate this year, then in that case, you'll get some kind of flip around September. It actually won't continue to go down for crypto. It will start to flip back up in September while everybody screams how it's going lower. I remember this playing out last September. Everybody's like, oh yeah, we're going lower. I'm like, I am looking for the shittiest shit I can find.
Well, Will, what people love to say, and I've seen it a lot recently, is what do you think crypto's going to do if stocks actually like take that next dive lower? Like, just imagine. They love to say that. And then this is a perfect example to combat that. Well, what do you think Bitcoin's going to do if stocks don't put in a bottom soon? Well, look what it did over here in October. Look.
Yeah, from September forward, it just continued to go up while stocks continued to go down with complacency shoulders. So I think like there's always these iterations that people got to look at. Go ahead, Jackus.
Did I get around? So good show. Hopefully Lars comes back up, and so see you tomorrow.
Jackus, the only thing you said today was
hi.
The only thing you said was hello. We didn't even get to hear from you, man. We need you to cook.
I know we had Lars on, so like you want the guest to cook, right? Like I'm here every day in a way, so
that's true. All right. Well, we'll see you, Jackus.
See ya.
Yeah, but I wanted to show this though because even, I know we had Lars and it was like to highlight our guests, but I felt like this is something that had to be looked at today because it's always what happens if equities goes lower. This is the exact opposite of that conversation in a nutshell. Same time period too. Again, I really want to iterate that same exact time period.
But we better not have to wait until October again, Will. I can't wait till October.
September is when it bottomed. So if that's the case, September's the bottom, right? And here's the thing. This could even front run. This could front run. This could already be happening right now. The difference
this time around, Will, is we had the nuke in July. And the nuke came, was it in August? I think it was August that we nuked the first time around, Will, for Bitcoin. Sorry. Bitcoin nuked from 30 to 25 to the right. You have it marked out, Will, on the Bitcoin chart.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, I think that nuke happened in August, not July, right?
Well, so hold on, you're talking about over here?
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So we nuked in August, where this time around we nuked in July. I feel like we already put in that drop right now.
Yep, right here.
Yeah, so we're a month ahead of that fractal.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. This could be front run already. It could have already front run, and I think that's what not a lot of people are considering, because if this front ran, then this whole reversal is basically this already occurring, and then where do you go from there? You're only going up from there.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of like pick and choose what our thesis is here. But again, this correlation right here is the opposite of what happens if equities sell off.
So you're thinking we basically just have to carve out a bottom for the next 3 to 4 weeks potentially and grind up and then pop.
Grind up. Yep. And then just rip. And if we can continue to grind to the upside on crypto, like if this right here holds, that means we can continue to grind, and then eventually we just rip through.
Yeah.
Then there's no coming back.
Okay. I like that. Tucker, I want to get you involved, man. Let's go.
Yeah. Come on now.
Patriots are in control, clearly.
Send it over.
Control. Patriots are in control.
No, that's low-key Tommy saying Nvidia has topped. That's Tommy right there.
This is Tommy.
He's the only one.
We make this bigger. There we go.
Nvidia has bottomed.
I'm just like I get what Tommy's saying, but then sometimes I get confused because I think he's talking about micro, but then it almost feels like he's talking about macro sometimes, like some kind of macro top.
I like that Tucker Nachi line that you have.
Yeah, I like it. We didn't quite get there, but I think it's good enough. It's good enough for me, man. I think you have
bullish, bro. Front running trend line is bullish.
Yeah. Like I think at minimum you get like maybe even like here, and then maybe I think you can range a little bit. I really do. Like I don't think this is death structure right here. And look at the S&P, man. Max, you even had this trend line drawn the other day. I did
it because that trend line lined up perfectly with the VIX trend line that was like the downtrend,
Study this, man.
Perfect. And additionally, Tucker, what we need to study is IWM. That needs to be studied.
I know.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, this is that little like, you know what I mean? It just kind of does this chop after breaking out, and then it should send from here. It really should.
I'm gonna steal the chart just real quick, and then I'll give it back. I tweeted this out, so maybe some of you guys already saw it. This is IWM versus the NASDAQ, and below we have Bitcoin. Look at when this pair has pumped out of capitulation, right? Look at when this pair has pumped out of capitulation. Again, this is IWM, US small caps versus US mega cap tech. Look at when the capitulation has happened on this pair, which is the top one, compared to where Bitcoin is at within its larger cycle. This pair starts to break out, and then very shortly after IWM paired against the NASDAQ breaks out, you actually see Bitcoin go into price discovery right afterward.
That's
right?
a good chart right there. I like that. Yeah.
Check cart. Would you retweet it for me then if you really like it so much? Help boost it a little bit.
I'll boost it for you.
My man, dude, that's being a good friend. That's called studying friendship. You know? Like he says, good chart. I say, hey, would you ever retweet it? He goes, I'll retweet that. He didn't even think about it. He said, no problem.
No problem. Man.
No, he said literally no. He didn't even think about it. He didn't hesitate. Like immediate retweet. You know.
No way. Jose has a good comment.
Will, you won't retweet this though, would you?
Yes, send it to me. I'll retweet it.
Tommy,
I retweet anything.
Tommy, you wouldn't retweet this though, would you?
I probably wouldn't. No, I don't agree.
This is what Tommy wants to do, man. Tommy wants this, man. He wants whoop.
Yeah.
Right there. Tommy wants that.
Can you highlight No Way Jose's comment there?
Will, why are you not admin, bro? Dude,
I don't know either.
Because you guys don't want me to take
admin,
over,
dude. Okay. Yeah, the last week of market check, even though it's been a little testy at times, has been some of the best content because it's very rare that the panel is not in like consensus. It really, it's good, man. Because then everybody has to actually work to defend their conviction rather than just being lazy. And it's like, well, we're all good traders and we all agree, so let's not.
We're all going up.
Think about it. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I've seen some stupid comments, but other than that, it's been great. It's been great. All right, Lars, what do you think about this chart, man? I don't know if you do this kind of analysis like pairs, and I know you're not from the U.S. Do you watch stuff like this, like IWM versus NASDAQ, and like the relationship between major U.S. indexes, or not so much your cup of tea?
It's not so much my cup of tea, but I always appreciate finding patterns in the chart and correlations and see if it works or not. So it looks clean. It looks clean. What is our RTY?
So this is Russell 2000 futures. So you could just get the same thing by looking up IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF. But I used the RTY1 continuous futures contract, which is just Russell 2000 futures, because you don't get as many gaps in the chart. So it just looks a little bit cleaner. And I pay extra for the futures to be like in real time. So it's like $10 a month. I might as well use it, right? But yeah, it's basically, this is just measuring like how shit co's, like really like garbage US small cap companies are performing against Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google. That's basically what it's doing. And it's cool to see because historically, when you've seen shitcos like garbage small cap companies in the US begin to outperform the blue chips, the titans, the pillars of stability, which are basically 10 companies that make up the US economy, when you see shitcos begin to outperform percentage-wise the blue chips, the 10 biggest companies in the world, it typically indicates one of two things. Either it's over and this is an exit pump and everyone's going to die and lose all their money, or it means that there's so much froth and excess liquidity in these markets that in fact we are about to have a melt up and price discovery across the board in more speculative assets like shit co's and shit coins. So that's basically what this pair is telling us.
Okay. Interesting for sure. I got that gold chart back on. I'm hoping my PC doesn't start lagging again. It's
I don't see your screen shared at the bottom. You have it up.
Oh yeah, wait.
Dude,
all right,
there you go. Comments, man.
Okay. Comment section's on another level today. 100%.
I've been here twice. This is my second time now, and every time I'm here, the comments section is crazy.
Crazy.
In a
What
good way.
What is this?
Lars, you get them riled up, man. It must
Yeah.
be it's your fault.
So I wanted to talk about gold, right? So I was seeing this massive distribution, and I'm pretty convinced price is gonna come towards this range low. Okay, I'm really convinced. Like it broke structure, it's very clean looking. Distribution into price discovery. I'm pretty convinced we're gonna go to 2277 on gold, and it made me think like, okay, I'm seeing this clean distribution on gold, but I'm seeing a clean accumulation on Bitcoin. Like, is there some sort of pattern between the anti-correlation between the two? So I put it up on the chart, right? So what we can see right here, it's missing Bitcoin at the top, but Bitcoin is at the top right here. We have Bitcoin, and at the bottom we see gold. And with the red vertical lines, I pointed out every significant bottom on the Bitcoin chart. So right here was a significant bottom, right here, etc. Every significant bottom, in my opinion, I've put a red line on it. And at the bottom, we see the gold chart. And what I noticed is that every time we had a major move up on Bitcoin, we got this divergence with gold, where gold with the red lines made a lower low while Bitcoin made a higher low going up. And it happens almost every time. Out of the, I don't know, 12 there are. The blue ones are when they went up at the same time. So gold went up and Bitcoin went up, and all the green shaded areas are the divergent areas. And what I'm seeing now is that potential divergent again, because I'm convinced gold is going towards that range low. In that case, it will make a lower low. And like I said in the beginning of the stream, I'm convinced the low for Bitcoin is in. So it will make a higher low. And we can clearly see that in those green shaded areas, the moves were insane. Major moves happening on Bitcoin. And the thing is, you don't trade the confirmation of the divergence, you trade the potential divergence. Because if you trade the divergence whenever gold made that lower low, Bitcoin was already way up higher, right? Every time gold made that lower low and it confirmed that lower low, Bitcoin was already up. So you trade the potential. You trade the potential lower low. However, if we compare this potential lower low to the previous ones, just using my style of TA, I wouldn't really predict in the previous green shade areas that there was going to be a lower low. There was a chance, but I would not say I was that certain that the lower low will take place. However, right here we have this very clean distribution. I think this is the most cleanest anti-correlated price action between gold and Bitcoin that I've seen in these 4 years of data on the chart. And I was like, does this have like a potential like fundamental reason, or like is this something we can look at like fundamentally speaking? And you could make the case that the same way money flows in the crypto markets from high cap to mid cap to low caps, you can also say that in the stock markets you have your high caps, mid caps, and low caps. But maybe you can even say that, you know, once people and gold and the S&P and the NASDAQ, they're all at all-time highs, maybe even those people will start translating some money into a more risky asset like Bitcoin, you know, hence Bitcoin going up and then gold going down. Because gold does recover a bit after that divergence, but it was really fascinating to me to see it happening like this. And you trade the potential divergence, but this time the potential is very, very high because I'm convinced gold will complete that distribution schematic. So it was just an interesting observation.
So this is really this is a really impressive observation. Are there any instances? Are there any indications of this working to the other side as well, where it calls tops for Bitcoin, or really just kind of helping you prospect bottoms?
I think just having a glance at it, I think more bottoms, because yeah, you have significant tops here, but I don't see immediately divergence like straight out of it. It was just more bottoms.
So you would expect gold to retrace here, maybe another what? 150 points or something like that.
Yeah, I'm exactly short from this point, and I'm expecting 2277. We can get a bounce here though. This is the last demand remaining before grabbing these lows here, these trend line liquidity lows.
Now, do you compound, like if we bounce at that demand and retest the mid range, would you short again at the mid range, the underside retest, or no?
Yeah, I could, because I traded on MT5, so every position is a new position. So I will just keep this position running. I'll take some profits here, and then if I see another potential entry, I'll short it again for sure.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's really interesting. Because Bitcoin has often been called the sort of digital, or I guess like millennial gold, right? So to see this relationship playing out over multiple years of, I don't know if you'd want to call it like a divergence or gold leading Bitcoin, or I don't know, but there's a clear relationship here, right? I mean, it's not really up for debate, right? Like here it is. Here's the data.
Yeah, and this is just like in these scenarios, yes, this went lower, that went higher, but this is like an actual accumulation versus an actual distribution. Like it's exactly anti-correlated. And I think you can learn a lot from gold in general, because gold is just a more mature asset, right? So if you want to call for, okay, what could a potential Bitcoin top look like? You know, we all made this, like we had this fractal going around where, you know, this was your gold range, and you had that manipulation below the low here, and it's just
where
a
we're
way
at right now, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone freaking out. Yeah.
So this is a way for people to determine, okay, you know, if you want to move a major asset towards the upside, you have some sort of manipulation below the range low before having that expansion higher, or grabbing liquidity towards the downside, then moving to the liquidity up top, etc. Well, you can say the exact same the other way around, right? Where in price discovery, we form a pretty big range. Like if you see something like this on Bitcoin in the future, you know, when we're deep into that 100K, 150K area, and you see something like this, that's your sign for potential top formation that's going to appear, because it's just how market makers move price, and gold is a way more mature asset, so it's way more heavier. And with heavy, I mean like it has way more liquidity, so it takes longer, it moves slower, it will have more time to top, stuff like that. It won't have like pumps and dumps really fast. So you can definitely learn a lot from gold's behavior, and apply it to Bitcoin as well in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you ever look at silver? I know Jack spends a little bit of time looking at silver.
I've never looked at silver.
Never. All right.
No, never on silver. So no, it's just a really interesting observation. I was just like, let me just test if there's some sort of anti-correlation, and then I found it happens so many times, and I was like, oh, that's pretty significant.
That is really significant. Very, very interesting observation here. So I mean, on the ultra high time frame, like I would think that Bitcoin is, like, I know this doesn't really bode to this correlation, right? But like different time frames, I view Bitcoin as sort of in the equivalent of gold in like March of 2023, in a very local sense, right? Like gold had that range low deviation in, what was it, like November, like ultra high time frame. Yeah, right there, exactly. And I know it's totally different time frames, right? But similar structure where like we lost our range low, we deviated, we reclaimed, tagged our mid range, we're now pulling back, which is what we're doing right now. I would view Bitcoin probably about to do what gold did here, but on a lower time frame. Like I would expect this range, similar to you, Lars, to resolve and break to the upside, maybe after a little bit more chop and ranging, right? We'll see how much, but I would expect like 85 or 90K on Bitcoin, similar breakout target to what gold did from this fractal, but applied to Bitcoin's current range.
Yeah, that's indeed a good observation, because if you look at it right here, you broke structure. Just staying on the daily time frame, you broke structure right here. That's that high. It's not perfectly on the high, but that's where you broke structure. And then I can see that we had supply here, kind of liquidity up top, this high not taking out that high. And then you come towards that supply zone aggressively, and then you get the retrace, and then you went higher, tapping that range high. If you just only apply the manipulation and the break Bitcoin, you kind of have the same, right? Because right here we have that supply zone. Supply zone right here. Let's get rid of this green box. And then you have the manipulation below. Let's do it at the bottom. Manipulation below. Aggressive expansion towards the upside, breaking structure, coming into the supply zone. Then what happens next is indeed they got a slight retrace. The retraces don't have to be the exact same, but a higher low did take place, right? So we had the higher low, and then we went higher towards the range high. And then we had a bit of more chop because, it is gold, it's more mature, it takes more time, it can range for longer. Bitcoin is more volatile. So I don't think this needs to happen. But indeed, the higher low and the higher highs well followed, right? Supply, manipulation, aggressive break. Supply, manipulation, aggressive break. Expectational order flow, higher low is what I would assume.
Yep. Totally agree. Any altcoins you're interested in talking about? I see you got a lot of tabs open.
For sure. Yeah, this is because I restarted. I always get like some tabs that always automatically open again. But I was actually looking at a potential play on the Toncoin with redo. Let me pull it up here. Okay. So obviously Ton performed pretty well, like it extremely well actually, if you compare it to other assets. And it is one of the majors. I think it's top 10 now. It's a top 10 project. And we had this range here, and we got the move up, right? We got the move up. However, I am seeing signs of a distribution. Okay, I am seeing signs of a distribution where this is your range high, that's your range low, and then you have your 1, your 2. This lower high right here grabbed all liquidity on the left. That's your tab 3. And we tried to break this low, but we had a massive liquidity sweep. So I will move that low towards that new liquidity sweep low. And I will argue that if we do lose that low, I see like a 3-day demand zone right here. But technically speaking, the target of a distribution is the opposite range point, right? However, because it's such a major asset and we're in like bull run vibes, normally sometimes those macro distributions don't play out, but you do get a kind of a significant move. So I was watching this range. I'm seeing the potential signs of a distribution. This is a very important low. I think if you break that low, you will come towards this POI. And just checking the volume inside of the range, what we see is that this volume profile, I've made it very light, but this volume profile, the volume area low is right here. What does that mean? The volume area low is above the equilibrium of the range, meaning all volume, almost all volume, is in the upper section of this range. And there's almost no volume in this lower section of the range. And I apply this concept with the conclusion of like, okay, if there's almost no volume inside of this range and we do lose this volume area low, what's going to hold price up? Yes, we have demand, but it's demand backed by less good volume. Okay. So I do think if you lose this circled area right here, that we can get a rotation towards this demand zone. So the reason why I'm still seeing it as an opportunity is because I'm not looking at Ton, I'm looking at more leverage plays on the Ton network. And opportunities are always in times and signs of corrections, right? So I think the most known meme coin on the Ton network is the resistance dog. So if I pull it up, where's that full? Okay, no full screen. Okay, we'll do it like this. So I think the most known coin, meme coin on the Ton network is resistance dog. And if I had to chart this real quick, obviously the most insane area of demand is this accumulation phase before before doing like, I don't know, like a 15x in price. And what we see right here is an obvious range formation, right? We saw the range, we had the range high right here, range low right here, and then we had that deviation. We had a lot of liquidity below, like a lot of liquidity. And we're coming down, sweeping all of that liquidity right now. And what I'm looking at is a potential deviation of that range low. I'm trying to find my tool here. Okay. I'm looking for a deviation of that low. This was all that liquidity into that demand zone for a potential spot buy play. Okay. So right here, this could be our manipulation phase. Let's write it. Manipulation. So I'm looking in this area right here for a potential manipulation phase below the range low. And I do think that we can get there because TON also has potentially more downside incoming, right? And this is just a very strong demand zone. And I'm seeing already some signs of future bottoms where we can see a slight increase here in, pull it right here. We can see a slight increase here in selling pressure coming into the low, right? So coming into the low, seeing that selling pressure, that's actually pretty decent because it means, you know, there are potentially some panic sellers going on, and they can get trapped if we do get that deviation of it. And this could be a potential insane play because if it does come back towards that high and we bottom somewhere right here, it's already like a 5x in price.
Now, Lars, real quick, from an execution standpoint, are you going to be buying in a deviation in that manipulation, or are you waiting for the range low reclaim after a manipulation to execute?
Because I'm playing at spot, I will just also I never buy at once. So from an execution standpoint, let's say 100% is the total investment. I will invest around 30 to 40%, you know, really seeing the red coming into that manipulation phase and that green box. It will probably bottom. So it will not just have a V-shaped recovery, most likely. It will have some consolidation and potentially accumulation. That's where I'll enter like 30% more. And then the rest of it, I'll enter on real signs of strength, writing it up.
Very nice.
Like it.
Because regarding TON as well, last thing I want to point out, if we do TON versus Bitcoin, right? Because that was also pretty significant right here. Is this the good one? No. Wait. TON. Okay, perfect. So if we pull up TON versus Bitcoin, can we have a better one? Okay, yeah, perfect. So if I had to chart TON versus Bitcoin, right? What I'm seeing going on a very high time frame like the monthly is that we had to move up, we had to move down, we formed a range right here. This is your range, and then that range broke towards the upside. So this was your range. And this was actually a deviation of the range low. It was an ever so slight deviation, but that was your sign of a potential TON investment, comparing it to Bitcoin. So we had the range low, we had the deviation of the range low, very slight deviation, but it was one. And right here, we're kind of breaking towards the upside of the range. However, on a lower time frame, what this looks like is actually a local distribution. So we're kind of breaking out of that range high, but we're getting a 1, we're getting a 1, a 2, and then a 3 here, right? So I do think this can come down at least to this low, and then preferably it even comes down towards this massive demand that we left behind in that manipulation phase on the monthly time frame, right? Kind of these last, you can call it last 3 downwards candles before the aggressive expansion away. So if we can come in that demand zone, this could be like a massive accumulation like this. This could be like a massive accumulation where you have your 1, your 2, and your 3, where you had already a range breakout in between the taps, which is only better because you can have a higher low for a higher high using structure. And that move down is like around 37%. So it doesn't mean that, Bitcoin has to crash and this crashes more. It could also mean that Bitcoin goes higher and this lags behind. That's also underperforming. But in general, it could come down here. So it all ties into that redo can come down into that manipulation phase, potentially a bit deeper than expected. And that, in my opinion, will be a great buying opportunity.
I totally agree with your analysis. And I told you this before we started too. We may have talked about it before. I really view Ton just kind of like a vehicle for me to buy Ton shitcoins with. Like, my higher time frame thesis surrounding Ton from a fundamental view is, I've always said the next 100 million or billion users are going to be onboarded into crypto through smartphones. I was hoping it would be like Apple Pay and Google Pay or Android Pay, right? But it's clear that they probably want to see what Telegram can do, right? Is there really a successful onboarding on a larger scale with something like Telegram? And I feel like they're probably looking at Telegram going, all right, let's see how Ton does. Let's see how it works out for them. And there's millions of people that use Telegram's app. I bought some spot Ton and I don't really think about it. And I do it the same way I hold spot ETH. I own some, and all I want to do is find shit coins on Ton because I feel like Ton is giving me early Solana vibes, 100%. And I feel as though it's going to be built out. There's going to be a lot of money coming into Ton. Additionally, stablecoin market caps are increasing on Ton, and they have been, pretty consistently for the past couple of months. So, more stablecoins, more liquidity, bullish ultimately.
Crypto needs more consumer apps that make people want to come into crypto. Like that's going to solve the liquidity concern that a lot of people have, is either number goes up so much that people come back. And I do think that's going to be part of it regardless. But also you need to build stuff that people want to use. And I do think that there are some apps in crypto that are finally building out ways to onboard retail, which is ultimately going to be hugely important for the growth of the space. And I mean, Ton is going to be one of them. Obviously, it's like you said, Max, it's giving people the ability to access crypto and onboard liquidity just from their smartphone. We kind of underestimate how complicated it can be to get started. Like if you're just trying to move on chain for the first time, like explaining that to somebody is like you're trying to explain a foreign language at first.
Yeah, that Moonshot app, that thing is sweet, man. If you guys haven't tried that, you should. You just buy anything on Solana with Apple Pay. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I agree with you, Tommy. Like, nobody understands what I'm talking about when I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta swap that and bridge this and then deposit to a centralized exchange. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's pretty easy. Like it is really not that complicated.
But in reality, it takes like, if I want to get from Sol to base, I mean, it takes a good like 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it easily takes like 15 or 20 minutes, which is kind of crazy if I want to just buy something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, imagine if you're
people are lazy.
Bitcoin for the first time.
People are lazy. Yeah, people are lazy. Yeah, imagine. Yeah, like you said, using Bitcoin. Like if I want to take some shit coin on Sol and turn it into a Bitcoin puppet, that's a 45-minute experience right there. Easily.
You want to take a shit coin on Sol and turn it into a Bitcoin puppet? You are in the trenches, my friend.
No, I'm saying if I wanted to do that.
Oh, hypothetically, of course.
That's going to take an hour.
Hypothetically.
That's going to take me an hour, which is kind of crazy. Right,
no, man. We all know you've done that. You're pretending like you haven't.
I've for sure done that. Yeah, I've for sure done that. But
well, it's funny. You're like, oh yeah, I have this investment opportunity. I think it can hit multiple. I think it can hit multiples. You tell that to somebody, they're like, all right, where can I invest? And like, you have to do this, this, and this before you do it. And I'm like, oh well, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Bro, look at IWM, man. What are we talking about?
Wow.
No, I'm asking, like, what are we talking about? I want to know what we're talking about.
I truly don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, that's a Chad candle right there.
I mean, this right here, this is your Bitcoin range of death that we're in right now. Like this is your Bitcoin range. IWM is just leading. Here, let me pull up some corn. Let me pull up some corn. I'm pulling up the corn right now. Okay. This is IWM leading a Bitcoin breakout right here. And I ask you again, what are we talking about here? This is what's going to happen. I want to know. I need somebody to tell me what we're talking about.
We're absolutely going to do that little chop up and then put in a candle like that, in my opinion.
We're going to put in the Italian meat stick. I know Louis not here.
Yeah.
But we're going to put in the Italian meat stick candle. This is your range. Right here. Literally boom. What are we talking about? God, I'm so excited, man.
That might even happen today, man. Trump is talking today at the Bitcoin conference, I'm pretty sure.
Is it today?
I thought it was. Bobby is convinced it was today because
I don't think it's today, bro. I don't think
he's like, I'm going on Thursday. I was like, are you sure he's talking on Thursday? He's like, yeah, bro, for sure.
Here's what I want to show you guys. Guys, the Bitcoin gap must get filled. This gap has to get filled. Please fill the gap. The IWM gap has to get filled. Fill the gap. I'm going to stay sidelined in cash because I need the gap to get filled. You're not getting it. And if you are, then I'll just delete this video. You have no proof I said that. Okay.
Max, that's the exact same observation regarding the gap getting filled that I gave in the beginning of the stream of people being afraid to buy at the bottoms, and then we do get signs of strength, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll buy, I'll sell my house and I'll buy on the CME gap fill or on the retest of the golden pocket," and it never comes. Right?
That's exactly that
scenario.
That's actually funny, Lars, that you mentioned that, because I think that that's how a lot of people are feeling right now with 52K Bitcoin. They're like, why the hell did I not buy 52K Bitcoin? Why the hell did I wait? And they're just sitting here waiting and hoping to God they can get that retest or that low again, or lower, right? Or lower. And while they're sitting there waiting, guess what? Price is going the other direction.
So it's clear something like this is happening, in my opinion. Additionally, you can see that when right after, very, very shortly after, IWM begins to outperform, right? That's right here. We'll put this in blue. When IWM begins to outperform other mega cap tech, we'll just say mega cap tech in general, then Bitcoin goes into price discovery very shortly after. That happened last cycle. Let's look at what's happening right now. IWM is breaking out. Has Bitcoin gone into price discovery yet? No, but look at what happened last cycle. Not too far after IWM began to dramatically outperform and then went into price discovery, Bitcoin did the exact same thing. I ask one more time, what are we talking about?
What is that date, Max?
Give me one moment. Let me just put up IWM on the bottom too. For all the people that they just still are not understanding it. They just still are not understanding this. They just are not getting it. Okay. Look at right here. Okay. Here's IWM. Here's IWM all-time high. Okay. Look at what happened last cycle. I'm not counting that deviation. That was the Nancy Pelosi deviation. She sold her entire portfolio right there. I'm not counting that one. Okay.
Boys were pumping.
This is where we're at right now, guys. What are we talking about? I want someone to answer that question. Can't
What's the date? What's the date and what's the time period between blue and orange?
The date was November, like first week in November, and it was about, depending on where you want to measure it, because this is the weekly time frame. Well, let's zoom into the daily. Let's get granular with it. Let's get granular. Why not? Who wants to get granular with me?
Let's do it.
Let's get granular.
Run it.
Right here. And IWM went into price discovery officially right here. Okay. So that was 1 month.
1 month. All right. Now go to current.
I mean, I don't think it'll be perfect, right? But the spirit of it is that when IWM begins to outperform mega cap tech and it breaks out against this pair and eventually it goes into all-time high price discovery.
Yeah, you got a month.
We McSend. You go to McDonald's, you get an egg McSend for breakfast.
Wait, so is that August 15th?
Where? Last cycle?
No, the current orange line.
I just kind of threw it on there loosely. Like you could put it wherever, I don't know.
But 30 days, right? It would be August 15th.
Yeah, roughly.
Dude, that's fine. We don't
That's
have
fine.
to.
Which will be also, the end of summer, around the end of summer, roughly.
That's when you come back from vacation, right, Lars?
Exactly.
That's when smart money gets back to the
That's when smart money gets back home. Start buying, pressing buttons and turning on algos. So,
all right, we've been going for a while here. We're gonna call it, guys. This has been great. We are gonna call it, guys. Thanks so much for being here. This was Market Check brought to you by BB. We had a special guest today, Lars. I'm gonna not say your last name correctly. Trader Koistra. Trader Koistra. Yes. His Twitter, his X account is down in the description below. It's the first X account link right there. Give him a follow. We appreciate his time. Young man, full-time trader. He trades a lot of similar stuff that we talk about here on a daily basis. And again, we very rarely have a guest on twice. I don't know why. People have done really well, but our audience loved Lars, man. And he cooked. He cooked last time. He cooked again. Everybody's left full and smiling. You guys are crazy in the comments too. Thank you guys for the support. But give him a follow. Try to run him up to 2K. We'll give him a little retweet later and boost him up.
I want to say one more thing. Because your fans showed crazy love since the last stream, but they also ask a lot of questions regarding Wyckoff, and there's a lot of nonsense out there regarding Wyckoff, in my opinion. So for all the new people, I made a tutorial for free on YouTube. You can never go wrong checking it out. It's very very useful for high time frame and low time frame, for macro bottoms and tops. So all the details and info regarding how and why I look at Bitcoin as an accumulation and stuff like that, it's all on YouTube and in a video for free for everyone to check out if they want.
That's awesome. And the link to that is in your bio, correct?
On X? Link to YouTube is in my X bio. Yeah.
Okay, so step number 1, like this stream, subscribe to our channel here. Next step, go to the description of this video, follow Lars on X. The step following that is click on the link in Lars's bio and watch his videos. And presumably you should subscribe to his channel as well. All right. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for being here. Before you guys go, there's also some links in the bio to our premium offerings. You can sign up for our Discord, where right now you can expect over 2 hours per day of private live calls with me and the entire BB team. Full transparency. We share setups, trades, analysis, very granular positional details, things we don't talk about here on YouTube or on X. And again, 2 hours a day of private voice calls every morning and afternoon with me and the BB team. We talk literally everything. We do Q&A, and basically it opens a line of communication between you, me, and the BB team 24/7. You're going to love it. It's a great time. Additionally, within the next 3 weeks, you're going to get free access included in your existing Discord membership to our new flagship product called the BB Terminal, guys. It's got portfolio tracking, derivatives data, heat maps, high time frame DCA indicators. We've spent a lot of time and money building out what we would consider to be one of the best products that you will ever want to use or need to succeed in these markets. It really will complete all of the tools that you will need in your arsenal. And again, if you're in our Discord, you're going to get that for free. But if you're not, you can also check that out in a few weeks when we release it for beta testing. It's going to be epic. But if you're in the Discord, you get that first and you get it for free. Second link in the description below, guys, is to the BB Academy. If you want to front run and expedite your trading and educational journey in these markets, we spent about 6 months compiling all of our strategies as a team. A lot of people teaching TA for free. They teach the right stuff. There's a lot of people teaching TA for free, and they teach the wrong stuff. I can tell you on Lars's YouTube channel, he's going to teach you the right stuff, okay? But there's a lot of guys out there, they're teaching you bad strategies. If you want to save yourself time, energy, money, the whole thing, check out the BB Academy. Second link in the description below. We'll save you a lot of time. It's great. You support BB and you support your trading journey all in one, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Please like and subscribe. Follow Lars. Go to his YouTube. It's in the link in his X bio. And we will see you guys tomorrow for Friday's episode. Take care.